IVM.
Welcome to Dreaming with Your Eyes Open. Ronnie Screwvala is an entrepreneur who I have admired for a long time. His ability to make inroads in an industry that is so tightly controlled by a few was what first had me so impressed. When he released his book a few years ago, I lapped it up. I was even more impressed. The more I discovered his journey and the various businesses he had been a part of, the deeper my admiration went. When this project came up, I jumped on it wholeheartedly. Where else was I going to get the opportunity to spend so much time discussing the ins and outs of his career and what he has accomplished? Hi, Ronnie.
Hi.
Hey. So let me start with the first quote of the chapter, the part that you have up front. Even though 99% of us feel we are unequal to a task at some point in our lives, entrepreneurship provokes us to confront and conquer that myth. Luck and inequality are two sides of the same coin. When you have that coin in hand, throw it as far as you can and walk away. You don't want it, now start building your dream. So you don't believe in luck?
No, it's also to tell you that if you believe that you are in the inequality thing, then you're going to be convinced about it.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is that why are you believing that you are unequal? And, I understand that most the aspirations for the haves versus the have-nots, or you have the resources to be able to do that. But at some stage, one didn't have those resources, right? That's why you're a first-generation entrepreneur. So I think it's more also to question that if you start believing in inequality, it's going to happen. Because if you feel inequality based on your one single parameter, in this case could be wealth versus this thing, or capital versus none.
Right.
There are 9 other aspects of that where you could be actually more than equal to some of the other people. And I think if you start looking at that as your reservoir to go on, it may change things around. Right. So that's my question as far as inequality goes.
Okay. Moving forward, the next thing that I picked out to talk about was, but one of the most prevalent and persistent obstacles in the path of entrepreneurship in India today is the notion of luck, or its lack plays a major role in how successful or not you'll be when you unleash your ideas into action. All stages of the journey, you need to downplay the idea of luck as a necessary ingredient for building strong businesses. Rather, the real source of success is people who generate their own breaks by working hard and focusing on a goal. So, I think that...
Yeah,
that
I just want to say
that.
This working hard should not be used as a cliche of, if you start... It's not this shoveling snow every 8 hours or whatever else.
Yes.
So I think the question is, do I feel that luck has not played a role in anyone's part or in my career and journey? Absolutely not. The working hard was not about working hard per se on a job.
Right.
It was about constantly being in places where opportunity can knock.
Right.
And I could possibly in the right place, the right time. That requires a never-ending treadmill approach to just keeping your eyes open, your opportunities open, and that hard work. So the hard work was more connected with opportunities that can bring you fortuitous circumstances that allows you to then call it luck.
Right. Yeah. No, so I think you mentioned something about how coaching, people who are coaching sports mention that preparation plus effort is equal to luck, right? Something along those lines. I kind of do buy into that. But I wanted to ask you, the fact that a lot of entrepreneurs are looking at luck or its lack as, or a lot of would-be entrepreneurs look at that, right? Do you think that, do you lay any of that on the fact that there is a culture, superstition? We're a fairly superstitious culture in India, right?
No, I think if you start mixing luck with superstition, then we have a problem.
Okay.
I think the luck, but you can't absentiate the context of luck.
All right.
As I said, but it is about actually being in multiple times in the right place, the right time.
Right.
And the question is, how do you get yourself in the right place, the right time? I'm saying the only thing is, that takes a little bit of hard work.
Right.
It's about creating opportunities. It's about seizing opportunities. It's about spotting opportunities. Right. It's about then sticking around there to make them happen. And then once you sniff it, you've got to be able to follow up on it.
Right.
Even when you're buying a lottery ticket for a luck,
right.
The fact that you actually go through the act of identifying that this is one channel where every week for 4 years I'm going to buy a lottery ticket and hopefully one day, even that.
That's luck. That's creating
it's the idiotic way of looking at it, but I'm just saying even that requires you to be consistent about it.
It's putting yourself in positions where opportunity can come to you.
And this is not even an opportunity, but even then.
Right, yeah. Okay. There was something which I thought was really interesting, right? This is again a quote from the book. Sometimes, though, we spend too much time overanalyzing the situation. When I talk to someone caught in the cycle, I tell them, create opportunities by being less selective, not more. I thought this was really interesting, right? Could you give us an example of what you mean by this? Because I think I do know what you mean.
I just think everyone does overthink.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean you need to underthink.
Right.
And this is not just about being perfection. It's about having all the answers before you embark. It's
Right.
just not going to happen. You're never going to have all the answers.
Right.
When you're a very large company in MNC, you need to follow that because that's the process. You need to answer and tick all the boxes. But that's fine. But for 99.99% of the business, you're not going to have all the answers. So what are you going to do? Stick to the shore, or you're going to set sail
Right.
and answer the questions, some of them, as you go forward. And that's the critical difference.
So basically what you're saying is that just get moving, right? Don't keep sitting on things.
Yeah, and I don't mean get moving because speed is important, whatever else. But I'm just saying you're not going to have all the boxes ticked and you're not going to have all the answers. So don't overthink. I didn't say don't think. I just said don't overthink.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to a little bit about Hungama. So I'm going to read the quote from there. When the team and I envisioned Hungama, many media observers, colleagues, and others saw the channel's eventual success and a subsequent sale to Disney as a stroke of luck. Not true. The idea worked because of a laser vision, tremendous planning, disruptive programming, and bold marketing. Most of all, we went with our gut and stuck with our convictions. As I think of it now, I recall it was one hell of a lot of hard work, a great deal of fun and excitement, and very little luck. People only believe in coincidences when it's convenient for them to do so. So it's not really a question, but I think there's a lot of different interesting things over here, which I think we can kind of, touch on. Like, for example, the differentiation of Hungama from what was at that point in time the way children's programming was. I think that was this. The branding of the channel, the conviction of the possibility of doing something different. So, I mean, what do you think was some of the reasons? What are some of the reasons that people call luck in this? That you think
Well, firstly, there was conviction.
Yeah.
So somebody may call it luck, but I'm saying having the balls to do it in spite of all odds, in spite of multinationals being in this business, in spite of much more well-funded and deep-funded. So having the conviction in yourself that you felt you had a differentiator and you wanted to go out and execute on that differentiator. Right. Those were all. So we were creating our own luck. And the luck, I don't know whether an exit means luck, you got lucky versus something works. So I think we were fortunate and lucky that it turned out to be the number one channel in that space. That to me was more of a situation where we felt more proud than the fact that after that somebody wanted to buy it.
Right. But again, I think that calling it luck, I have some trouble with this, right? I mean, because I see this in a couple of different places where people are calling different things that you've done lucky. And some of it feels like, I believe what you're talking, your last line is very true to that, right? People only believe in coincidence when it's convenient to do so.
Yeah.
Because very little of this feels lucky to me, right? More of this feels...
No, also it's not pre-planned.
Oh.
So nothing of it was really pre-planned.
Right. So I'm sorry, I don't understand how...
No, it wasn't pre-planned, and therefore the context of saying that I exited or I did something based on the fact that it was a preconceived notion.
Right.
No. I think if that was then you're looking at it like that was the whole plan. I had a full 3-year plan charted out and all of it happened to precision.
Right.
Yeah. Then I would say I would have to give in and say, wow, I was really lucky on this one.
Right.
But it never works out that way.
You have to, you're dealing with situations.
Absolutely. There are so many odds and ends in that.
Okay, this is in context to Rang De Basanti. What still fascinates me till date about the reception of Rang De Basanti is how many people told us it was a lucky break. When I heard that, I thought exactly which part of that was lucky. Nobody backed us, we were out there on our own and we pulled it off. To my mind, there was nothing lucky about it. So again, like I was saying, I don't understand luck as a comment over here. But what I'd like to understand, I think what it would be kind of interesting to people who are listening to this would be like, what were some of the arguments people were making to call it lucky? Because there seems like there's no element of luck to it.
There wasn't that much of an argument only because it was only after it happened.
Right.
And they said, wow, because it's like saying, I can't give you credit for spotting a new trend.
Right.
So I have to only give you the credit of being lucky.
Okay.
And I was trying to say, okay, but we stuck it out. We took the road that was, and we had the guts to try something new and it worked. If you take the risk to try something new and it works, you can't define that as being lucky.
I would say not. I mean, especially, there was a lot of controversy around the movie when it was releasing. You had to do
again, not specific on a movie, but I think the fact that we need to liberate people to be able to figure out that I'm taking the path less trodden, or I'm going to be counterintuitive, and you succeed, then it encourages people to do that. And if you think that the only component for that is luck, then it's going to hold back a lot of people from being counterintuitive.
Right.
Yeah, because then you'll get into what you talked about earlier, which is the whole astrological part of it. Then I have to see that I was going to go for it. Now let me go to my astrology, which is a recipe for disaster in the first place.
Okay, so before we end this chapter, I wanted to kind of bring out something and ask you what your thought is on like a larger kind of national basis for this, right? Also, the cemented social structure is strong in India. Perhaps a little bit less strong than in the past, but still a deterrent for an entrepreneur not self-confident enough to jump in with both feet. You need to talk realistically to your family about who you are and who you aspire to be. The problem with inequality isn't that it makes realizing your dream more difficult in reality, but that it distracts you from your vision. Do you think this is changing? Do you think culture is changing a little bit?
I have to say no.
No?
I mean, getting it down from getting it from a 1 on 10 to a 3 at 10 is not changing.
Okay.
I think still everyone has this issue of is this the way to pursue it? There's a fair amount of evangelizing that's happening for entrepreneurship,
right.
but I think most people are still very insecure.
Okay.
And the parental pressure to feel that security is more important than following your dreams sometimes
right.
is still very high on people's...
How do you see...
And look, we're a country where we haven't grown up in that context. And if you haven't grown up in that, you can't imagine... Because if you've gone off in a tough way and you know what challenges you've been through in life, you just feel those same challenges are going to come to your kids. And then you want to be protective about them.
Right.
And therefore, that's a natural instinct to be, but it's not solving anything.
So I think I saw a article that you wrote recently for, I think, the Mint or something like that, something that we don't need 10,000 entrepreneurs, we need 10 million, right? How do we get there? How does that happen?
Well, that's why we need to liberate people and we need to talk about it and then we need to evangelize it and we need to talk more about our failures, because if we start evangelizing our failures, I think the people that will come out from various places and want to get on and try something because it's no longer such a bad thing to fail in itself will have a conversion factor, which is huge. It's not about how great your idea is, because everyone just thinks either I've got a funding or I have to have a great idea, otherwise I can't start.
Right.
There's so many other innuendos to that.
Actually, I think that's a great place to end. We'll be back next week with the discussion of the 11th chapter, Exit Stage Left.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Screwvala, and you've been listening to my podcast and the multiple chapters of my book, Dream With Your Eyes Open. And I think to that, I've had good chats here. And I think chapter 13, my book is all about Q&As, and I'm sure there are more Q&As. Happy to answer them, so send them in, and happy to have a dialogue with you on that.
So if you'd like to ask Ronnie a question, send it to us at dreaming@ivmpodcast.com. If selected, we'll read out your question on the last episode and have Ronnie answer it. You can also send a question to us on social media at IVM Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Advertising is dead. Yep, you heard me right. Advertising is dead. We're all in the content business now. Let's not call it news, TV, radio, etc., etc. It's all content, and we're in the middle of this weirdly exciting phase where all the borders and lines that have been drawn over decades has been swept away by this lovely thing called the internet. We're a show where we don't dwell on just the stuff that is now, but rather the wider stuff about advertising, media, content, and the whole goddamn circus surrounding it. Tune in every Tuesday for our weekly unboxing of the mystery box we used to call advertising. I'm Varun Dugirala, co-founder and content chief at The Glitch, and this is my new podcast, Advertising is Dead.
Think fast. If I tell you I'm Parsi, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Dhansak. I don't blame you. My name is Parzan Patel. You may know me as the Bavi Bride. Though I run a popular Parsi food blog, the truth is I didn't know anything about Parsi food until I got married. It was just my luck. He turned out to be your typical sadra lega wearing, kawab khari eating Parsi boy. And the only thing I knew was dhansak, or rather, how to eat it. But there's more to Parsi food than dhansak. And there is more to us than our obsession with eggs and our legendary Rani cafes. Welcome to Not Just Dhansak, a fresh new show where I talk to friends, fellow Babas and Parsi entrepreneurs about all things Bhonu. A little bit of history, a dash of Baba madness, and a lot of food talk. There's more to Parsis than meets the eye, and there's certainly more to us than Dhansak. Join me every Tuesday as I talk to some of my favorite Parsis in the food space in India and beyond. I am the Bavi Bride, and this is Not Just Dhansak.